Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be checking out the DC Collectibles DC Designer Series Amanda Connor. This is Figure 3 Superhero Harley Quinn. Before we have a closer look at the figure, let's get some measurements going. Harley Quinn stands 7 inches tall. No, she stands closer to 7¼ inches tall. Now I know that this figure is a little on the late side. Truth be told, I actually had picked up the last 2 Harley Quinns from the comic book store a little while ago, and it was sort of on my shelf of things to do. Well, you know, as with everything else in life, things to do sometimes gets sidetracked. So we're having a look at these now. Still a great looking figure, and all the more reason why I want to go back and still look at these, still review these. So we're going to have a look at those now. She does come with the same display stand as the other Harley Quinns that we've already had a look at, featuring the diamond motif there. A singular peg on the one stand. The only stand, actually, that she comes included with. She also has one peg hole. Not really sure why she doesn't have 2 peg holes. If you're going to go as far as putting a hole in one foot, you're there anyways. Why not just put the hole in the other foot as well? But she only comes with the one peg hole. You can probably see this giant balloon-shaped face. This is one of her interchangeable heads. It's a little over the top, and it has a gimmick, which generally I'm not a big fan of gimmicks. This is fine because I'm not likely ever going to be displaying her with this head. But the whole idea is she's supposed to be able to cry out of her little tear ducts here. She's got little 2 holes, one on either eye there, right at the bottom. And the idea is you're supposed to, if you look at the instructions, you're supposed to take the back buns of her hair, which are about the only soft aspect of the entire head sculpt, and you're supposed to squeeze it, submerge it into water and suck up the water, and then proceed to squeeze the same hair buns on the back to squirt the eyes, the tears out of the eyes. Now, if you are new to this channel, one of the things that I've addressed on a couple of occasions in the past, and generally this is more so for retro toys, is anytime that there is a gimmick where water is included, or something that you have to put water into a figure, I generally do not do that. And the reason for it is it never seems like you can get all the water out. That water sits in there, that gets really gross inside. So for that reason, I don't tend to ever fill figures in themselves ever with water, just because you never really get all that water out. The head sculpt is good if you want something a little bit more over the top. You get that reflection on the iris as well as on the eyeball area. Some shading above the eyes are a nice touch, and again you've got that real very anime look design to her face. She's got some sculpted hair on the sides, which are separate pieces from the rest of her head sculpt. Again, it's a great looking head if that is the market that you want to be going with. So for example, we can take the head off of the existing Harley Quinn, the one that at least came out of packaging, and you want to just pop this off. There we go. And just put this on. And it doesn't really sit all the greatest. Like, you really have to apply a lot of pressure to get the head on there. That is entirely up to you if you want to go with this look. But again, like, let me just show you how far in that socket you have to apply pressure to get that ball joint to sit in there. I exert so much effort into doing it, only to really leave the head sculpt off completely. It's not my cup of tea. It may be your cup of tea. It just really isn't mine, though. So we can just go ahead and put the regular Harley Quinn on. And you know what? One thing I don't like about the figure, and it's not necessarily, let me just get this ball joint back going on here. There we go. As I was saying, one thing I don't like about changing out the head sculpts, above and beyond the fact I just don't like the head sculpt anyways, is these little side portions of hair. Because they are separate, I don't like personally putting my hand on a figure's face that has loose hair like this. Just pulling it off, putting on the head back and forth, sooner or later that it's going to snag these and it's going to rip them off. So all the more reason, sorry, tear duct Harley Quinn head. I'm never really going to put you on, so I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Having a look at, though, at the rest of the figure actually has some beautiful coloring here. Now, we've got the traditional reds and the blacks from Harley Quinn anyways, but it's presented here in a completely different way. So instead of a full pant, for example, on Harley Quinn, we instead get more a bare leg and then boot portions that make up the lower half of her torso. I do like the fact that there's that diamond included on the top, like on the kneecap areas of the figure. And again, you've still got that alternating red to black motif. The sculpting on the boots are quite nice too. The undersoles give a little extra oomph to it. Areas, again, like this, you may never look at because the figure's going to be standing flat on a shelf. But I do appreciate the fact that companies go in and do that little extra mile to sculpt something like a sole. Having a look at her regular face, again, it's quite pretty. It's one of my, I think of looking at the other Harley Quinns, this might be my favorite head sculpt from those Harleys. Kind of like also that her eyes are not quite, I can't tell whether they're facing forward or they're slightly off to the side. She got some nice additional, a little bit of additional black paint that's added to the red portion of her hair. The black, on the other hand, stays pretty untouched by extra paint. They could have added a little bit of blue. I think that might have ruined it though, so I'm kind of glad that they kept it to just solely black. Paint is pretty clean, no issues whatsoever with the paint. And again, the same sort of color choices that they went with the larger head are here also on this figure. Some very bright blue eyes. You've got the shading of the blue and the pink on the eyeshadow, and the red, ruby red lips. She's also sporting a very small cape, which is a rubbery plastic. A little bit of a gold deco there on the collar portion. And I like that it's a nice small cape. Again, really all the stuff I'm touching base on are more so on the design aspects of the figure, which are really based on a comic run. So it's simply just a case that DC Collectibles has transitioned the original artwork fairly well, I think, to a figure here. Posability on Harley Quinn, her head does rotate left and right. Normally I would say hinge up and down too. As you saw the way it pegged into place, there is that ball joint going there, but it really doesn't have the greatest of jobs moving up and down. You can easily rotate it all the way around, but it does struggle up and down. Shoulders hinge outward, as well as you can rotate them all the way around, and you can see how that collar does a pretty good job of staying completely out of the way. And it's not even so much a collar, it's the shoulder portion of her cape here. Has a bend in the elbow. Sadly, no bicep swivel or forearm swivel, but she does rotate her hands, and those also hinge back and forth. Doesn't have any sort of torso articulation, nor does she have waist articulation, but luckily she makes up for it with a fairly good ability to do a splits if for some reason that's what you want to do with your Harley Quinn figure. Does have a double hinge on the knee, which it almost seems slightly forgotten for a second that she does have that double hinge on the knee, but she does have one. And then she also has the hinge in the foot. No ankle pivot, solely just a forward and back. I like this Harley. While she doesn't have a traditional Harley Quinn costume, like for example the traditional Harley Quinn that we've already had a look at, I do really like the face. In fact, I might say it's my favorite face of the 4 figures from the Amanda Conner wave. Still haven't had a chance yet to look at the Holiday Harley Quinn, which again, chalk that up to, put that to the side, gonna do it later, doing it a little bit later. But still, I think this is my favorite figure of the 4 figures. It's got a beautiful head sculpt, good clean paint, and while I don't necessarily like this is something that I appreciate, that the fact that they would have incorporated that into the figure as something you could swap out. It's never really going to see a light of day, at least when I'm displaying this figure, because I think the head sculpt currently is so good, why would I want to change that out? Today, once again, we were having a look at the DC Designer Series. This was the Amanda Conner wave, and we're looking today at Figure 3 Superhero Harley Quinn. If you guys like this video and certainly want to see more, make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below. You'll never miss a beat when it comes to future videos. And hey, if Harley Quinn is your cup of tea and you want to check out more Harley Quinn stuff, I've got a Harley Quinn playlist on this channel as well. You can go back to all the previous figure reviews that I've done and watch them at your viewing pleasure. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. See you next time.